Okay, so good news is that Russia is watching us. Oh, yeah, nice. And there is a question from the Russian Federation, and supposedly it's a question about yellow bus. Okay, Nishat. So the question is, could I send advertising information about my bar near next stop for the passengers via this system? Okay, you can. Could you send advertising information about my bar near next stop for the?
Spasiba. So, yes, because once we already gather the information about the position of the bus, it's already available in the gateway. The potential of pushing information to the onboard system or even to the bus stop about nearby facilities like a eatery or a bar or a pub, it is possible. But this is further development, and that is something that is going to be relying on the gateway server. But essentially what we're looking for is the position of the bus. And when the bus is near a certain location, the system also receives that this bus is now in this vicinity, and all the subscribed advertisers would be able to push advertisements to the screens on the bus. Yes, it is possible. It is a potential solution. It's a wonderful solution. Probably that is how this entire project could be subsidized, and the investment could be recovered. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hope Alexander is satisfied with the answer. And it's the only question still we have online. So maybe you have questions from the audience? So we'll proceed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for standing close to me. Nishat, we would love to listen to the second project of yours.
Hello again. My next project is from, I can actually look here. My next project is from the United Arab Emirates, although the company that is doing the project is a UK-based company that has also started operations in UAE. They are Sen Global. The end client had a very peculiar requirement. Some of you have already asked me this question today itself. How is it possible to do this and that? I'm coming to that. The good thing about working with VLAN API is there are potentials of doing any kind of solutions with it. Things that we don't perceive, since we don't conceive, you can push us to provide these solutions with existing API and partial niche applications like VLAN logistics. So to make a long story short, this project requires the ERP system that already exists wants driver binding to be managed by the ERP system. Possible. The second thing is orders will be sent to VLAN logistics without position information. So how you handle orders without position information? Big question mark. The end customer love VLAN logistics mobile app. That's a surefire killer. Anybody who sees our mobile app for end user, the driver console, they would love to use it. This was the reason that they went ahead with using our solution. And then, the dispatch, correct the positions manually. Offer a solution where they would be able to manually correct the position information. And then, dispatch routes to vehicles and notify managers of ETA. Sort of like an ETA, but with a little more control on what you can do with the ETA. So these are the basic requirements. Now, how do we solve this? With a combination of VLAN API and existing VLAN logistics solutions. So this is what we came up with. The driver binding happens online. I mean, the ERP system will decide. I was asked by Amir this morning, how do you do this? Yes, you can get position information of the units, and the binding will happen over API. API will bind the driver, and then the next step is order creation without position. The orders can be created without position. It will come into VLAN logistics and stay there. It will stay there, waiting for position update by a set of managers. Those orders that do not have position updates will be position information will be manually updated. Once it is updated, then there will be a batch process that will batch the entire thing and send to the mobile handset. Sounds quite straightforward. Why is it so easy? there are only 3 query strings. Just 3 query strings for this entire sequence of operation. Actually 4. The driver binding is one additional step. Driver binding, 1 query string. Create order, the second one. Optimize the order, third. And then dispatch these orders to the mobile handset. So by all this, we have ample opportunity to inject or change or modify anything in these query strings. Had it been just 1 query string, none of this would have been possible. That is why we have done VLON logistics in separate stages. So everything is not one request, it's multiple requests, offering us the potential for even route optimization with a third-party solution. You can actually optimize the route using a third-party system. You can use Google Maps, you can use your own, probably TomTom Maps, and then create the route and then push it to the mobile app. We don't care. We don't have to worry about it. VLON logistics is not strict, or VLON is not strict about these are the only things you can do about it. And that's one of the greatest things about using VLON. I think I'm clear here. Okay, what is this? What are the results? Use existing VLON logistics. You don't need to build the entire interface. You don't need to build the whole thing. You just use existing interface. You use the existing wonderful mobile app, which is VLON Logistics Mobile, and then automatic dispatch. Yes, and the most important thing, the precise information of ETA. How do we do this? When an order's position is updated on the system, a geofence is automatically created. When you create a geofence, you also add that unit into that geofence. So when to that notification. So when the vehicle reaches the geofence, you get a send request. You can create a send request. You can create API query to third-party systems. And when the vehicle exits the geofence, you can create another one. So you manage the ETA. You don't need to use ETA from any other system. You can come up with your own ETA. Vehicle approaches 100 meters from my destination, send me a notification. When it exits 100 meters away from the geofence, create a notification. So the whole thing is fully configurable. Yep, that's so exciting. Yeah, thank you.
And we are moving to Italy. The renewable energy has become one of the trends of the modern economy. We all know that our petrol vehicles pollute the nature, but still we are having hard times to switch to electric vehicles. So our partner from Italy decided to show that there is not only a room for the changes, but also the need for it. He provided the solution that served as the remedy to the following 3 main challenges of the owners of the light petrol vehicles. So first challenge is obviously the high carbon emission. The second one is inability to compare the efficiency of the petrol and electric vehicles. And finally, there is always the risk of wrong investment. The end user is asking himself whether I should switch all the fleet, whether I should switch a few vehicles, what vehicles should be changed. So our partner provided the remedy for it, and it was implemented the following way. So the first key part is the development of his own user-friendly interface. Then come the integration with VLON, and also with third-party databases for traffic and weather information. And only then the installation of tracking devices. Our partner had chosen the OBD2 devices, easy to install. They are installed on the existing petrol vehicles in the user's fleet. The data analysis, gathered information during 1 month. Then the devices are removed, transferred to the warehouse, and then our partner uses for another customer. And after the data collection is over, our partner does analysis and calculates a parameter called electric equivalent autonomy. This parameter compares the efficiency of the petrol and electric vehicles, taking into account the driving behavior, the fuel consumption, the trips, and most importantly, whether any recharge points on these trips. And also takes into account the weight of the cargo if needed. And the final stage of this implementation is basically a detailed report with a scientific analysis. It suggests the end user what vehicles should be changed from petrol to electric ones, what model should be chosen, what trips should he plan for future, where are the future recharge points. The results of this implementation, they actually go beyond the increased efficiency of the mixed fleets, go beyond to reduced carbon emission and reduced costs for the fuel. Our partner offers the end users that are switching to electric vehicles the specially designed application for the fleet management of the electric vehicles. So this way, he secures the customer mission, he creates the customer satisfaction. This project shows that the changes could be smooth, and at the same time, you can create your own new customers. And this word, I'm pressing the mic.
So we had a question from Russia, and now we're going to have a project from Russia. According to the official statistics, 1 million people die in Russia every year in road accidents. 93% of these cases are actually related purely to the human factor. It has been proven that 90% of these cases could have been prevented and can be prevented in the future if we give our drivers the necessary tools for their own safety and security. So our company from Russia came across a transportation company from St. Petersburg, and they had a great chance of becoming a part of that set statistics. Company officials admitted having numerous challenges. Challenge number one was that they started to experience an increased number of minor and bigger road accidents, and they resulted in high costs for unplanned repairs. Challenge number two was that there are certain obligatory insurance costs that were also coming high and up after each particular accident. But worst of all, the fleet owner never had a chance to find which is the driver, who's driving great, who is doing bad on the road, and stuff like that. So, which is why our partner was able to take the project and offer quite an interesting implementation. The implementation consists on use of GPS terminals with mobile eye hardware solution, and it also consists of VLON, where reports and notifications are used heavily together with the eco-drive module. Speaking about the implementation on the hardware side, each bus is equipped with a GPS terminal. There are 2 mobile eye cameras installed on 2 sides of the bus. Those cameras are used for analyzing road situation. They're detecting such events like lane departure, front collision, and the pedestrian collision avoidance. So those are 3 main things that they keep track of. Speaking about the implementation on the VLON side, for notifications, our partner created a virtual sensor where each parameter stands and corresponds to a specific mobile eye event. And once the event happens, notification is triggered and the dispatcher can take the required actions if necessary. Speaking about reports, Kia partner combined mobile eye events with traditional eco-driving criteria. Basically, he specified such classical things as harsh braking, harsh cornering, harsh acceleration, etc. You all know them. And he also added those events from mobile eye to the same report template. You could do that if you're driving. You can add the custom sensor. So here's actually the example of the report. The slide is not so clear, and it's in Russian, so all the same. But it's a typical eco-driving report where you could see all these typical criteria plus those events from mobile eye with some extra detailization, what kind of moving object it were, like if it were a pedestrian or a cyclist or something else or someone else. So this was about implementation. And speaking about the results are amazing. Currently there are 40 buses which the fleet owner monitors with our partner, and they're planning to add more because they do see the value from the solution. Now those road accidents happen twice less often, and the number is going down. Apart from that, our partner also received an opportunity to offer a new bus. So basically now he's upselling a new bus, and he has a good chance of raising up the service fee. Quite a good result, if you ask me. So, but again, what I personally love about this story is not even like the greatest commercial outcomes for the partner, but like a general truth that sometimes such a minor thing like custom report or custom parameter is not really minor at all. Sometimes it could open a new area of opportunities for you. In this, for example, the existing eco-driver report has been enhanced with extra parameters from the device. But in reality, this custom sensor could be technically anything sent from the device. It could be anything that you imagine. And it expands the whole area which criteria can serve as eco-driving criteria, and it gives you some food for thought, which basically opens an opportunity to meet customers' needs better. And on that note, I would love to pass the mic to Anna.
This project comes from Indonesia. Our partner introduced Bialon to local fresh produce suppliers. The customer provide their products by following the full circle, starting from the farms where the vegetables and fruits are grown, 50 cool storages across the country, and up to deliveries to the supermarket. So such kind of business requires controlling of many operations and conditions. For example, transportation from the farms to the cool rooms, temperature monitoring in the cool rooms, as well as by transporting the goods. So naturally, there were many challenges. For example, high operational costs, fuel debts, ineffective delivery process, and of course, high percentage of product spoilage. So the customer has been looking for a solution which would allow the company to improve the operations and optimize the cost on fleet management. And our partner offered Bialon with trip monitoring for unauthorized stops and unloading and loading checkpoints. He used dynamic groups and notifications to get the group data by a certain condition. Route management was successfully used in Bialon to monitor trips and checkpoints. Speaking about the hardware part, our partner used GPS devices with one-wire temperature sensor and fuel sensors to get the accurate fuel data. So the results were really very amazing. For example, operational costs were reduced significantly, including 12% of fuel savings and reduced maintenance costs. And this route optimization allowed the customer to add one trip per driver per day. And one trip means 1.5 additional tons of product delivered. So this route optimization, trip time optimization, allowed the customer to get amazing reputation on the market and win additionally 2 major contracts, big contracts. To sum up, I would like to say that the features which were introduced by our partner are just the beginning. The beginning which allowed to win the customer forever. And in the near future, they are planning to start testing and then sharing locator links with supermarkets, so their representative can monitor the deliveries online. And hope it will enhance the whole business. With these words, I'm passing the microphone to Jay.
Thank you, Anna. Does everybody know the app Logistics? No, this is a serious question. Raise your hand if you know Logistics app.
If you don't know.
Okay, that's more accurate, yeah, right. We are constantly discovering new ways to use the application. Like, I personally think it's beautiful and it's very, very practical. One of the projects I'm going to talk about today is from our Argentinian partner. His customer requested to collect blood samples. As it being blood samples, the monitoring and routing are essential to the request. So the challenges that the customer had is that he had 20 plus vehicles, he had absolutely no routing, and constantly receiving lies from the drivers that they made a stop, they went somewhere, which was consuming time and resources. Plus, they could never know how many samples the driver have collected up until the end of the day, when the samples were dropped off back at the center. So the implementation was very straightforward, especially for those who have used logistics. It sounds simple, and it is if you know the app. So it was the creation of the routes and the stops, plus to make sure that every stop is recorded, partner creates geofences, so whenever the driver makes a stop, he gets notified. Plus, logistics has this feature, so whenever the driver is in close proximity to the pickup location, the health center can receive a notification that the driver is close, so they will prepare the sample by the time he comes. And since the logistics has this feature, all of the samples collected by the driver were recorded, so the administrator who was monitoring could know exact number of samples. That was the result. So basically, drivers had all the information about the route, about the stops, the places that they had to visit, and everything was controlled fully by the laboratory. So there was very little room for the drivers to lie, for the imagination, and that was not originally requested by the customer, but as it turns out, the solution provided very good time efficiency for the laboratory, because the health centers received an ETA, and they would have the clear routes and stops. Plus, again, since the monitoring company, laboratory, had full access about the number of samples collected, because every sample was registered, they could allocate the workload appropriately, so they would save work source. That's it for this solution. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm passing mine back to Olga.
The second round of Hyundai interview is ready to join your stage.
Yes, I started to write questions to the chat by myself to stay closer to you. But we have also a question from our partner, and it's for Nishat, I suppose, again. Sorry, Nishat. I know you'd like to have a rest. Okay, one of the mandatory data for logistics app is location, latitude and longitude. So how it was managed to add orders without adding location? Okay, this one, you can read an answer.
Yeah, essentially what you would do is you would just create 0, 0, X and Y in the order creation in the API. When you poke the order to the alarm, you would just put 0, 0, X and Y will be 0, 0. So there won't be any position. It will be somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. So any order that has no values, basically 0, 0, when the batch process happens, it will be considered as not to be pushed to the optimization. So that's it, essentially, that's all it is.
Okay, so the answer is given. No more questions online, so maybe we have a question from the audience. Yeah, just smart audience to ask questions. Yes.
It's for Nishat anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I think here we are.
So then I guess suppose our trip across the globe is over, at least for now, at least for a year or at least for some time till you visit us next conference. We want to thank all the partners who contributed to the project. We spoke about the projects which were implemented by German partners, and they openly shared their projects, they openly shared their stories, and we thank them for that because they also contributed to our community. Later today, we will also listen to some of your stories, we will learn more about your projects, and we can't wait to listen to your stories too. I bet those would be great projects that we will learn about. And I must admit that we do really hope that you were able to get something inspirational from that panel. Maybe you noticed some non-existent but forgotten feature that you could utilize in your project, or maybe you decided to start working with Viola API, or maybe through a technical implementation of one of the projects you guessed the resolution to one of your end-user challenges. Who knows? Any outcome would be great. We are truly amazed every single day what kind of projects our integrators implement, what you do with Viola, what kind of features you use, how you use them, how you turn them from upside down and achieve amazing results. We are the ones who are creating features, but you are the ones who are turning them into opportunities. You make them applicable and you make them meaningful. And together we have a chance of creating a better world. On behalf of the team and myself, I want to thank you for having us here. We are ready to answer any of your questions once they may arise later during lunch, coffee breaks, and certainly we do have 5 amazing GITEX days ahead of us. Please visit our mega booth too. Thanks.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, the Global Business Development team. You can also applaud them once more. Yeah, these guys are great. So now you see that you have a universal platform in your hands. Time has come to learn how to promote it better. And Anastasia Yerokon, the head of marketing department, collected some very interesting case stories on the most effective marketing channels used a bit differently, but still making gains. So let's await marketeers in ourselves for the next 30 minutes and welcome Anastasia on stage with an applause.
Thank you very much, Kirill, for the introduction and the spoiler, but okay. This time I decided to follow the approach of my colleagues and to share the projects, but not the implementation projects, but the marketing one. Because imagine the situation, you have implemented a very nice project, you have to communicate about this, you need to talk, you need to share information about it, but how do you do this? And this is the situation when marketing comes in. So you need to spread the word, you need to deliver your message, or you need to reach the target audience. Yeah, that's all about marketing. So that is why I will present 6 killer marketing cases. And I'm really sure that they can encourage you and you can draw some inspiration out of this. But before I start with the first case, I would like to ask you the question. Imagine the situation that you are dealing with a cold client. So, what would you suggest? To send him a cold email or to deliver a cold call? So, let's vote. Who will do the cold call for the cold clients? 1, 2, okay. And who will send an email? I think that the first approach won. But in the case of our partner from the Ukraine, the second approach won. So the guy went for the email. And basically the case is a newsletter that removed cold calling. So the situation was the following. Our partner from Ukraine decided to split all the base of emails he had to the homogeneous segments. Potential or current customers, depending on business domains and depending on customer types. Then, he decided to make different newsletters to all the different types of the recipients. So it means that every small segment of the customers, every small segment of the potential clients got a specific email, a digest with an info about the system updates, about business cases, about case stories, and the hints how to say. Another interesting approach of him was that he reacted absolutely immediately on everything that happens on the market. So imagine the situation. In the beginning of the year, in the Ukraine, the government introduced a new law that the speed limits inside the cities were decreased from 60 kilometers to 50 kilometers per hour. So what has our partner did? He immediately realized the article about the logistic solution and the situation, how can you still deliver in time, bearing in mind these new speed limits. And he puts it in the newsletter. So this is the approach. When something happens in the market, you react on it. You write an article, you put it in the newsletter. So you can also have a look at the newsletter. It doesn't look very fancy, it doesn't have a very fancy design, it's like super simple. It's made in a super simple program, but it still works. And the partner says that 30% of his mailing list reads digest and know his expertise. So it means that at the very same time when they need fuel control or they need something connected with eco-driving, they already know that this partner is doing this. And they turn to the partner. So when the time comes, the clients already know who to approach. And the main difference between this partner and the others in the Ukrainian market is that the other partners, they are really close. So they never share their case stories of their partners, of their current clients, because they think that you will easily steal their clients by providing discounts, by providing small prices. And this partner is very open, and this is the way to succeed. These are the lessons the partner learned during this email campaign and also shared with us. So if you are dealing with a cold client, how to make your email not spammy. So the first one is when you are sending the letter to the person, please explain why did the cold client got this letter. So where have you found the contact? Why will the information be relevant for him? Also add information about the sender. So never do it from info at, like for example, Gurtam.com account, better use this one, with the name or the surname. Of course, obviously not mine, that's an example. But I mean, a lot of people know Gurtam, so maybe it will also work. Define topic with the value. So explain in the topic why will the letter will be valuable for you. Why should the person open it? And also bear in mind that target action of the email campaign is not to sell. Usually the target action of email campaign is to inform or to arrange a call. So I don't think that you need to expect immediate sales from the newsletter, but it's a good way to succeed. Very nice animation. Okay, the second case. It's about Instagram, and it's about Uzbekistan. Like Uzbekistan, it's the Instagram doesn't sound like something very similar, but still, that's why it's an interesting case. So I think that we'll all support the idea that every company needs to have a working website. So the one with a good structure, the one with a good content, with call to action buttons that can boost your sales. When you have a good website, you can easily have the request from it. But Instagram, but social media, they're different. So I mean, when we're talking about the social media, it's more about building strong positive reputation. It's more about building relationship, building attitude. It's more about spreading important information that is not usually connected with the sales directly. And also, it's working with the loyalty. To attract potential clients, you don't need to be pushy. It's better to share the relevant information that will show that you are an expert. So, of course, and you need to share the information regularly to communicate with your audience directly. So, what was the idea from the partner? He decided that he needs to make an Instagram account where he will share real pictures from real life, from the installations like this, with the logos and cars. But the main question was where to take the content from. I mean, imagine the installers. They are not like super professional photographers, they don't have much time to make photos, but you need to have this relevant content from somewhere. That is why for the first time he spent like a lot of time making photos for himself, so he had the big library for half a year. But then he understood, like, come on, I'm the general manager, I don't need to make photos, I need to do something else. So that is why he thought, okay, I will buy expensive cameras, I will give them to installers, and the installers will make the photos. Nice approach, but it never worked because all the installers broke or lost the cameras. The second idea was, okay, I will do the competition. And this one was basically a success. So he did a very simple competition. He created a chat for the photos and said, okay guys, so you make real photos from the installations. You put them in chat. And the one who will do the majority of photos will get the prize. I mean, look at this prize. It's not like super huge. I remember it's Uzbekistan, it's not the richest country in the world, but still, it's like 25 bucks. But the people were so encouraged. So they started to make a lot of photos to share them all the time. And eventually, they became like this. So it looks like really professional one, but they are made by like ordinary installers. And the guys got so used to making these photos, so now the partner gets like 30 photos per day, like without paying any money. It's all about the interest. So the result was the following: people go into the Instagram profile of the partner, where saw these real photos. They scrolled and they saw that the partner is really experienced because he's doing these photos, and of course he's doing these installations for like years. And so that is why Instagram became like third lead generation source for them. Like imagine Instagram, it's not something very common. And also he got the significant level of trust for the potential clients who saw the real installation examples. So I think it's definitely an idea to think about. The other case is from Brazil. The ready-mix trading guys are the developers of the solution for the concrete mixers. Maybe someone heard about them already? Okay, I see the hand. So, like, imagine the situation. You're sitting in Brazil, and you don't really have much marketing budget. So, how do you think, is it really possible to sell the solution worldwide? I don't really think so, but like this. Not really possible. But if the solution is on alone, you have a really mighty and powerful tool. And it's it's Gurtam. Yeah, mighty and borderless, of course. And I'm really not joking because the partners decided to spread the word, to tell about their solution. So they approached us and said like, okay guys, let's make an article. Our copywriter worked with them, we published the article, and they got like 10 requests just after the publication, immediately. Afterwards they get a lot more from 10 countries. So I think it was a good result. The partner was really happy, and he was also very happy when we invited him as a speaker to Telematics 10K18. So it was like a conference where the solution was really popular, and everything happened with the help of the Gurtam blog. So this is why I decided to share a bit of hints from our side and from the partner's side, how to work with content, and how to make the information that you would like to share more relevant and more applicable and more interesting for the current target audiences. So basically there are 3 steps. The one is to use clear and meaningful structure. So maybe you have also paid attention that during the last presentation, every case was divided into 3 parts. It was like problem, implementation, and the results. So firstly, we're always speaking about what business need of the customer it was, what was the pain, like what kind of clients can use this solution. Then we talk about the implementation. So what is the solution itself? Who are the competitors? Like what are the peculiarities? What are the technical peculiarities? We also try to deal with possible objections right in the text. So because you know your website, you know what objections can arise, and you can also explain what can we do with these objections just inside the text. And the last one is the result. So we know that numbers work much better than words, so the result should be measurable. It can be about saving time or money. How can the process be improved? Can the solution be scalable? So in what kind of business domains can it be used? In what kind of countries? With what kind of clients? So please share this information when you are doing the content team. Also, do not hesitate to use testimonials and the reviews from the clients. This is also actually the example from the Middle East, a very nice one. then make it easy to follow. When I say this, I mean that do not make long and sophisticated sentences. Never use super technical information that is very difficult to digest. Do not use these scientific constructions. What you do better is to make short sentences, like very clear, to use the paragraphs, and to use the informative subheadings. So imagine a person, a businessman, who doesn't have much time to read all the text. He can scan the text very quickly and understand what's going on. So scan the text and get the idea. And the third thing is go with visual. So you can replace the part of the text by a scheme or an illustration, like in this slide. Just kidding. There's no picture, okay. Or avoid just nice pictures instead of real one. So have a look at these trains. Like the first one is super nice from the design point of view, with the bright colors, but you understand that it's not from real life. And this one is the real one, maybe not so nice, but more trustful. Also, you can highlight the part of the text and the very important quotations you have, but be careful with this. Also, make the access to the solution if you're writing and explain the solution more easy. So ideally, you can share the link to the demo directly and insert it inside the article. So this is basically it about the content part. And we are moving to a very visually appearing case. It's about rally monitoring. So I know that one of the partners in this region is Mr. Khalif Al-Bashir from Inbound. He's already doing this kind of thing. It's supporting them. Basically, it's the case from Belarus, but I know that Mr. Khalif is already doing this, so I can see that this approach can be applicable also in the Middle East. So let me share the one from Belarus. You know, like Belarusian guys are super active in marketing, like Gurtam is. And this is the example from the Belarusian integrator. So they decided to support the rally of the cars that are older than 1980. So like it's called old-timer rally, so the old cars. The idea behind was that the guys are giving Vialon for free, they're giving the trackers for free, they're doing the locator link, so the guys who are interested in this rally can easily follow the cars. And the rally is about 300 kilometers. So the rules are to follow the road rules and to make the tasks. Our partner completed 46 cars and connected them to Vialon. What did they get for this? So they got the branded stickers on the cars, like this one, like very visually appealing. They put the Vialon logo on the materials. The link to locator was shared at the website, and also the organizers of the rally mentioned Vialon as a technical partner. So how Vialon was basically used? So they controlled the road. They checked where the road rules were followed or not by the participants, and the organizers also wanted to avoid the breakdowns. The situation is that the cars are old, so they could break easily, and the technical team can easily see where the breakdown was, come and help the participants. So the results were amazing. Our partner got a huge PR effect because these cars are really nice, they're visually appealing, they are old. The race was done in the Minsk city center, so a lot of people saw this. That's why they got a lot of publications in the leading Belarusians websites and also TV show publications in the biggest Belarusian media. And the organizers mentioned Vialon as a partner, so that's why the PR effect was really huge. But the nicest thing is that the rally was done on the weekend. So the installers took the trackers, installed them during the weekend, and on Monday they were back. So they gave all the trackers back. So it means that they haven't lost anything, and the whole budget was like $100. It's the money they paid for the stickers. So that's a nice example, and I think it's really encouraging. So I mean, I calculated the PR effect. It was like $6,000 for all the articles in the major Belarusian media they got, but it was in reality it was $100. The fifth case is my favorite, because you know that in Gurtam we are devoting a lot of effort to building up the community, and this conference is also an example of how we are building the community. and one of our partners in Ukraine. And as I told you, the Ukrainian guys are really active in marketing, as much as the Belarusians are. So they decided to, repeat the success of Gurtam, and they decided also to make the community. It's called Ukrainian Logistics Community, and it was done for building the relationships. So the members of the community were the producers, the logistics companies, the warehouses, the retailers, the transport companies, and on top was our partner, as the party deals with all the stages of this supply chain process. So what did they do? This is basically the picture from one of the meetings. They decided to create one meeting per week. So they called the opinion leaders from this sphere that are working with logistics, that are working with warehouses and supply chains. So they did one report and then the discussion. There was an entry fee, but it was like really super small. They select different topics that can touch different sides of the supply chain. And the most interesting thing there was that it was an open platform where the parties, who are usually like fighting a bit with each other because, they have different interests, they understood that they have common problems, and they were talking about them very openly. So let's have a look at the topics they usually have. They are on the slide, so it can be something like very specific or technical, like for example logistics management system, or something about the future like blockchain, or something like very common about human resources or motivating and education of your team. The one I really like is highlighted with pink one. So the partner went to our partner conferences in summer in Minsk, came back, and his speech was about like new ideas and inspiration he got with telematics. When I saw it, I was really very much excited. So the result. Actually, the guys are doing this thing for 1 year, and they said that after half a year, they got quite a big brand awareness. It means that their company and themselves became really recognizable in the community, in the sphere. They also got the expert position in the sphere, and they got, after like a year, they got a lot of new connections and the prospects from the word of mouth. So it really worked for them. I mean, they invested a lot of time in this, not much money, but a lot of time. But still, they said that they're satisfied with the result. And they are building the community. It will never give you like immediate result. It's investment in future. It's a strategical step, but it's worth doing it. The last small case I would like to mention, it's also about strategy, but it's more about sales strategy. Like, imagine Russia and the New Year. The New Year is the biggest ever holiday in Russia. So I know that there are participants from Russia here, and they will say that I'm saying the truth. So what I mean, the whole December is the situation when people are preparing to the New Year. And the whole January is the situation when people are taking rest after the celebration. They have like 10 public days of the holidays. So it's like a huge celebration. Nobody works. It means that it's a low season. And when I say low season, I really mean it's like the lowest season ever. But you still need to sell. You still need to connect somehow. And the other thing is that everyone is expecting gifts. So what has our partner did? Instead of buying chocolates or champagne, he decided to present the certificates for via loan with the discounts for the next year. So the idea behind it was that now it's low season, but people will get the discount, but anyway, they will get it somehow. So if you did a nicely designed certificate for the discount via loan for the next year, and limit time when it works, so it should be used until the 1st of March, people will connect, and it really worked. He said that like 40% of his clients he sent the certificate to really signed. And people are really expecting it, they got used to it because the partner did it for 2 or 3 years. So that is why it was a very good idea, combining saving and presents, 40% conversion rate, and stimulating the sales during the low season. So this is basically it I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm really sure that even having even do not have any marketeer, even do not have any significant marketing budget, it is possible to do good marketing, it is possible to stimulate the sales, it is possible to communicate your message properly, and to know that in marketing department we are also eager to help you, we can support you in this. So this is why you can find me during every coffee break, during GITEX exhibition, so I'll be happy to talk. So these were 6 killer marketing cases. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, again, no questions from the chat. Maybe you had questions from the audience? Yeah, okay. We have a question.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation, very useful. You mentioned Instagram, and in relation to the social networks, you mentioned the problem of content, good quality pictures, and I have 2 questions in relation to this issue. The first is, in your opinion, what is more efficient and important to make high quality posts on a daily basis, for example, very often, or is it really more efficient to publish really high quality content, but maybe not so often? And what is your favorite social network for promotion? Just personally? Not personally, but actually there are no so many social networks, and maybe you just can mention a couple of good really social networks that you would really recommend to promote devices and goods.
Thank you very much for the question. So I will answer one by one. So the first one was about the content and the regularity. So it's my opinion that you doesn't need to post like every day. The main thing is that the regularity. So if your customers, if your clients, if the potential clients know that you do it like once in a week, but regularly stated on the regular basis, it's okay. The main thing is that to make the communication continuous and to be online all the time. So it's also very important to answer the questions that arise, answer the comments like immediately. That is more important than posting like like every day. So what we do in Gurtam, like we have a lot of information to post and to share, but we try to limit it, not to be irritating, not to be not to have all the feeds of our partners in our list, like everything covered with Gurtam. That's why we have the rule that maximum 2 posts per day, but we have like a lot of content. But I think that a couple times a week is like okay, it's super good. And the second question, if I remember it correctly, was about the favorite social media, but not my personal one. Because if you ask about my personal, I would say Instagram. But for the business, I think it also depends on the region very much. Because we have different, like we as Gurtam, as a global company working in all the regions, we see different interests from different social media in different regions. As we are in the Middle East, I would say that in the Middle East, LinkedIn is working, and Facebook is more or less okay. But LinkedIn is like the most one for us. If you say about Russia, it's more Facebook, for example. So it's really different from the region and from the business domain you have and the target audience you want to communicate. So anyway, if you would like to, discuss marketing a bit more deeply, then I can ask you, then I can answer in like 30 seconds. So you're welcome. Like everyone really.
Okay,
Mr. Walid. Could you please pass the mic to Mr. Walid? Mr. Walid, as you showed up, so maybe you can also share the experience about EBRT, about supporting the rally.
Okay, great. Walid Bashir, I'm the founder and CEO of Inbound. Would like to thank Gurtam for such a nice event here. My question would be related to that we're doing some guerrilla marketing sort of opportunities. Would Gurtam be interested into having some sort of co-marketing opportunities? Yeah. I mean, marketing together, co-branding or co-marketing opportunities.
We can discuss this, of course.
So the partners. And the second thing, we have been sponsoring Global EVRT, which is the objective of to raise awareness of sustainable mobility. And last year we had a trip all over Europe, about 7 kilometers, 10 countries. It was sponsored by us. Most of our partners, they've seen it on, they've seen the link. They've been following the vehicles. Basically, they were all electric vehicles: Tesla, Zoe, and Nissan Leaf. And we have discussed a lot of findings along with ESCB University in France. Different conferences, we have discussed the output, the efficiency of charging, the driver behavior, a lot of stuff, which was a really interesting and very successful campaign. We did one in the Middle East this year, and we are doing one also next January, which will have UAE, Oman, and particularly, and hopefully Saudi Arabia will be also. Again, would like to invite Gurtam to come more in such events. It's really great.
Thank you, Mr. Walid, for sharing this information. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your questions. It's very pleasant for us that it was in marketing session, so we see your interest. Now we go to the topic where technical guys rule. As you know, some of you were in telematics. Okay. I see that one of marketing cases told by Anastasia Rocco has just started working, because low season is near and we need a holiday, like a great holiday, and Alexander Smirnov is ready to deliver it for some companies present here today. Please welcome Alexander on stage.
Thank you, Kirill. Thanks everyone again. It's a small break from the informative part of we had. Thanks for being with us here today. And just there is a small thing that we need to do because two of our partners did not manage to be at the award ceremony in Minsk, and we would like to make up for them for this them. And now I'd like to invite Hamid Kazemi from ITI to receive this award. Hamid, you are severely missed in Minsk. That's your top 50 partner, and we are really glad that you're there. So. And also another company that was on the list but was not there is Electroprofile. Mr. Mohammed Anwar Khalil. Thank you. I'm not needed anymore, no?
We'll give a discount.
No, Kirill, no. We do not work this way.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this, I don't know, it wasn't a presentation, but still it was so pleasant. Better than any presentation. And now we finally come to the topic where technical guys rule. So, those who were in telematics just 2 months ago, they remember Milan Soletic, who was talking about how to chase the demon of custom development, and now, 2 months later, it seems to me that he managed to do this, because now he's going to tell you about the custom development A to Z. Let's welcome Milan Soletic on stage.
Good day to all of you. Like Malik said, some of you, we already had a chance to see each other, to work with each other, and some of you had a chance to see that previous demon presentation. Now here there is no demons, but there is some challenges, and I would like to go through this. I consider this a really interesting topic, this thing, custom development, because I consider that we are in very interesting industry altogether. For last 2 years, we helped some of you and some other customers around the world regarding consulting, development, and providing full solutions for their customers. And we have our A to Z. I would like to share it with you. If we're speaking from A to Z, then A needs to be why, for sure. Like, first main question, why to deal with that? A lot of us still staying there on that question, still not starting dealing with custom development. If we ask I the why, what is specific about our industry is that we as integrators, producers of hardware, software, whatever, we're dealing with huge number of different industries. Basically, our client is anyone who have a vehicle and still doesn't need to have a vehicle. It could be mobile phone or anything else. And if we count how many industries are in our scope, it could be a huge number. Other thing is that even in the same industry, we are witnesses that every day we have tons of different demands, like every country, size of the company, the type of customer, whatever, could be very specific and make a different demand or different approach to solving the issues. When we multiply those two, number of industries or number of different approaches inside of the industry, basically we're living in a whole universe of different demands. It's almost not possible to have some solution that will cover everything, cover all possible situations and things. This might be answer on that question, why? But still, even considering all of those, for purpose of this presentation, I was trying to find some definition of which industry we are in. And it's very hard. From a technical perspective, we're speaking about telematics and IoT, but when you tell that to end customers, they usually do not understand. Telematics, IoT are more technical terms. But basically what happens in the last few years is that this is closest that I found. You are, of course, you can help me in searching for the best possible description, but basically we evolved from tracking the vehicles, then fleet management, then fleet, then fuel consumption, and things like that. Basically we evolved to field activities management, and a lot of cases that we saw here, a lot of cases that we saw in Minsk, basically that is the story. We're not fleet managers, almost at all. It's like, yes, there is part of it is fleet management, but we already put so many things in it that we almost change our profession. We make it to be much more wider than before. Basically, if that was Z, Z should be, let's make all those solutions and sell it. That should be, at the end should be those money, not the cloud, should be real money. But between A and Z, of course, there is a lot of challenges. This is very specific world. I will try to share some of it with you. First challenging thing is market. Everything begins and everything ends up with market. We are all in service of the market, and market has some demands, some rules. I guess this would be quite specific, quite familiar for a lot of you integrators. Basically, there is some zone of regular solution and there is some zone of custom solution. And there is some tiny line in between what is regular at the end. That tiny line is pressure from side of our customers every day in matter that they wish cheaper, 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 more cheaper. This is regular, everybody having this. You need to give us more. Of course, Gurtam and other partners trying to push that line up every day. They're giving us new features, new applications, new hardware applications. They are giving us some ability to fight there against that pressure on price and everything to offer customers something more. But this is so significant that basically we all need to help in this matter, because we could push that line up to same as Gurtam and some hardware manufacturers or like everybody else. Prices, this is expensive sport to push that line up, really expensive, but price could be a good one, because maximum thing that we could earn is maximum value that we provide for the customer. Basically, we're in the business of saving money. If we save $10, we could earn $9, and it would be fair because we save something to the customer. This is the case, this is the sport, and this is the, this could be really significant opportunity. This is opportunity to save revenue, to decrease customer retention, and to increase your impact on the market in total. But in that process, like we said, between those A's, A and Z, there is some challenges, some questions that we could ask ourselves. And I know from my experience that a lot of you asking those things is like, first challenge, in that relation with the market and market demands, should we be proactive or reactive? Like, should we go for it? Should we start building some solution and selling it? Should we do more or be reactive and work only in situation when customers press us so hard that we need to act and do some quick fix, some small patch? Like in that previous presentation in Minsk, I would always say it's better to jump than to be pushed. I like it more that way. It's very individual, but for me, I more like to be proactive, to be in control. It is always less time pressure. At the end, it is cheaper because you're running the thing, and of course, more effective. Second challenge is take the risk or keep it safe. Basically, this is almost a trick question. It's like the biggest risk is to do nothing. Basically, I'm in this community for a long period, for 7 years, and I could say from my experience that I know that a lot of us, even for their very important problems at the field, they waiting for Gurtam to build some new solution, or we have super idea but we're waiting for customer to pay, right? It's completely normal. Or we are waiting competitors to attack and then to react on that situation. But at the end, the safest thing is to take the risk. It's basically safety is when we are in control of situation, safety is to be proactive, at least, my opinion. Third challenge is important for me, of course, too. It is choice outsourcing versus in-house. I think that the only good answer on this question is basically first thing first. Like, the most important thing is that we get all those resources that we need, and just the second thing could be how to find it cheaper and make it function better. But for start, it's good to function. If developers are available for you, you should hire them. If business analysts are available for you, you should hire them. From both sides, you will have challenges. Challenges if you're hiring new developers would be a learning curve and value knowledge. They would need for sure some period of time, sometimes even a whole year, to get into it and to be start being really productive. That is from a side if you are hiring them. If you're outsourcing, if you're sourcing the development or anything else in this chain, there is challenges too, of course. Usually you consider price as a main challenge. At the end, those guys are not in your company and things like that. But it's like both sides have its own strong points, but main thing is we need to find it, to have it, to make it work, and then we can think, could it be cheaper and could it be better? If those were strategic challenges, let's speak in short about some commercial ones. Those custom developments could be whatever. There is so many different projects. It could be just single report, single interface, some algorithm, exporting data, communicating with some other system, external database, mobile application, or everything together. But no matter what it is, most important thing is to have a value for a customer. And basically this is like one of the most interesting tricks that always happen. Value is relative. From a side as a consultant, as developer, and somebody that's dealing with development, I love this sentence: we need only this. Usually it's like the most expensive sentence in the world. Never mind, like, are you in position the customer is telling to you or you are telling to me? But usually we need only this, and it's expensive, and showing that value is relative. And other thing that showing that value is relative is, like, sometimes 5 minutes could be enough to move the mountain for the customer. Even we have in Minsk, you could see in some presentation some beautiful and extraordinary applications that are basically simple to me. But never mind that they're simple, but they're extremely functional, and customers love it. And that is the other part of how value could be related. And the third point in this picture is something that happening really often, and that is that customer that just paid $1 million for some software is bargaining with you for 50 cents. From some reason, we every day have that cheap industry challenge. I like to call it that way. How to somehow it's somebody somehow somewhere explain it that this should be cheap. we need to find that guy and to beat him or something like that. Because there is a space, we're saving much more money than we are earning, but somehow, if you're speaking about fleet management, telematics, or whatever, everybody would consider that cheap, but if you're speaking about some other fancy stuff, those are cool to be expensive somehow. We need to change it, for sure. From other side, investment shouldn't be relative. And this is point to play smart for sure. This is some, let's say, graphic from outside detail level, from model star price. Point is, those tiny details in customer demands, in projects, basically those tiny details always spending the biggest portion of money. That and just 5 minutes, spending usually the most. If we play smart, it is much easier to save it, but saving money is not about developers, it's about everything else. Surprisingly, but the guys that saves the most money in matter of development, they're the biggest helpers and the biggest problems are the sales guys. They could do whatever. If they're playing smart at the beginning, they could make a miracle. If they just push it, they could make huge and enormous problems and issues. At the end, we need to have perception about this like really like a teamwork. It's about trust, communication, coordination, and sales. Surprisingly, sales have a very important role in it. Challenges, next one. How to recognize opportunity for projects, for development. The most important thing is that main strength needs to be inside of the company, and every company have internal strength valuable enough to build on it. Must be that we have some specific knowledge, some specific customers, some specific line structure, or whatever, but something is inside. We just need to find it. From other side, something new, and we were even speaking today about it in those good marketing cases. Gurtam is really trying to help us to get that money back. If we make something and if that thing is worthful, they really wish to help and to show to all other partners and to help us to get some of those money back. From other side, we as a resource, we are here. There is potential to find some pieces in your puzzles that could be missing, or let's say this way, we could sit together and then make some joint ventures or do something together. This is a huge group of people for sure. We could make some partnerships. But I'm missing one slide. Never mind. It is, should be one slide there, but never mind, I will improvise. It is a resume of everything. It is possible to do much better than we are doing, first thing. Custom development is a cool stuff. Basically, only one good solution is enough, not only to support the company, it could build a company for you. You have much more strength in your companies than you think. You have much more knowledge. You have much more things that you could use. and go for it. Yeah, this slide was, I had such a nice, beautiful last slide, but never mind. Next time, next year, I will show you.
Summer conference means.
Thank you very much. This was like, this is beautiful topic. I tried to tell you something. Come on, where are you helping now?
Yeah, okay. So, okay. Maybe you have questions, because this slide, I've seen this, believe me.
Yeah,
And it was great. Yeah, it had all answers. It's your path to custom development, believe me. And you'll have it in mygurtam.com in your personal account after the conference ends. And if you have any questions right now, you can ask, because there is nothing about slides in your questions.
Mr. Misha.
Okay, Mr. Nisha.
It was a wonderful presentation, Milan. I noticed that you were talking about also FLESPI. Have you started providing some sort of solution for FLESPI as well, writing applications for our partners?
Basically, on the last slide, there was something very important. We had something very important. But story is that it's not just about now even not just about plastic. We have space. Like it's good to see that Gurtam is going in that direction to make it able for all to collaborate much better and to build that possibility for local companies to work internationally in matter of selling their products and things like that, and especially plastic and space together in future. That would be such a beautiful combination. Like, I love Ion, I'm working on it for 7 years, but now we are like going to make real nice things.
Putting it together, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, another question from Bart? Okay.
Missing slides.
I
wish we could have seen the missing slides.
Me too. It was also all answers was there. It must be that some reason why it's missing.
Okay, we have another question from Bart, yes?
Yeah, my name is Bart Bonnoot from Pinta Telematics in Jakarta, Indonesia. I saw in the beginning the graphic where when you have more solutions, more advantages for customers, more you can provide more services. But if you have more solutions, more programs and so on, it means also you need to maintain them. And you need to have staff who knows how to have a development. And it's more complicated also. Well, I don't want to say it's complicated, but you need to maintain that and you need to administrate that. What is your opinion?
Basically, thank you for that question, because that is the part of the topic that needs to be mentioned, but it should be on some point on some slide, not the last one, but some slide. It should be like specialization versus diversification. Like, should we go in direction of specialized products or to do everything? Unfortunately, or on luck, I think that almost 90% of companies here are going in diversification. We're all for years doing whatever, just new projects, just new things, just to make it work. Me personally, I'm for specialization. I think that one good solution, one good niche solution, it's much easier to handle and get money than in working with tons of solution. Yeah, it's hard, of course. You need to support it, you need to maintain it, and everything needs to work perfectly. It's very hard, and it's like this last slide, it's strategic thing. If somebody's going in that direction, that's like a matter of strategy, should be planned well.
Yeah, we have basically we do the same, but I just wanted to hear from now how do you manage that the several solutions basically in terms of maintenance, knowledge, and that kind of things. So I agree with you. You need to provide solutions to meet the requirements for the market.
Yeah, basically, approach could help if approach is proactive, if you're doing that on a regular basis, if you can establish some style in what you're doing, in what you're working your solution, then it's somehow easier to manage all of that. If you have your routines, if you have your regular rules that you're considering always, then it's easier. When things are ad hoc, when we're building just patches to fit some holes, some empty space, then it's much harder. That would become really crazy space of solutions. Thank you.
Another question from Mr. Vali.
Please, such a pleasure. All the best guys today. It's like, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vali, for the nice presentation. My question to you is how to deal with price pressure. Because for us personally, we sell well on this price. We know that our customer, every dollar he spends on us on the platform, he's getting like $400, $300 in return, value return. This is what I like about the presentation. But again, how do you deal with price pressure? I mean, what could be the solution, especially like for competitors outside of Gurtam circle? We understand we have no control over that, but at least if we are selling some real good solution, I believe this is the best solution all over the world to provide to the client. How can we deal with price pressure? From rivals, fellow customer, or from the market outside? What do you do regarding that?
Like I said, some guy give us enormous help with questionnaires because somehow our industry is considered as a cheap one, and they will always bargain with us for that 50 cents, and that's a fact, unfortunately. Like we usually said, we need to change something for something to be changed. I know that guys are trying everything. Only things that I know it works nice and smoothly is end-to-end solution. When you're selling a fleet or telematics as a part of something bigger, then it's easier to moving through, to go with higher price. All other stories that I know, that I heard, that I was speaking with people, and some good stories are basically show program and show off and things like that. It's a very hard question, and we need to find that solution. For now, what I know that it's work is to go a bit more wider, to go a bit more in something like end-to-end solution than basically less competitors, less headache about price. Thank you.
Okay, another question from here. So we have time for one more question, so let it be the last one, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask, after working with Gurtam for 7 years, definitely people coming to ask you for problems, and now you have a cumulative experience. Why don't you share what you have currently developed? And maybe this, we as an added value service, we can sell it in our market, and maybe we can consider it as brainstorming or as a marketing point. I don't know. If you have something, or maybe this was in the last slide also.
Last slide. Basically, how the story goes, for the last 2 years, we're working as helpers of others. We have some developments, but you would need to ask those guys that we were building for. We can show something spectacular or specific. It's not in our ownership. That's for the last 2 years. We haven't planned to go in direction to separate some part of developers, and because we're listening what is the main issues to start fixing some really products, something that would be helpful to you, and that would be currently we could offer only consulting or developers or things like that. We could help. Yes, we have experience, but unfortunately, no product.
No product till now.
No products, like nothing that we
Or
could.
any success story you can share with us also. I mean, like
We have some success stories in this group. Yeah. And my the best story. There is the best story.
I just wanted to probably comment on the idea behind this presentation was to put all the general stuff about the actual work that Milan was doing into a schematic presentation on the steps of which are required and the problems, challenges that are there, so that the rest of the people here would either agree with that, add their own, and consider some solutions. I definitely know that here are companies with own solutions, and they were going their way and in development, and they could say and look at that and say, okay, we took into account 5 steps, but the 2 were missing. So, okay, thanks for these nice ideas. But this was the whole idea, to make it like a scheme, theoretical thing about development based on Boilon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry for it. I really wish to have a much better answer on your question. I really think, same as you, that is needed and necessary. Things is that is extremely expensive sport, and we're all avoiding to invest in that story. Somebody need to. We're all waiting somebody else. It's like that is the story. Usually, and unfortunately, we don't have like whole sea of solution just to pick, and use it. It would be beautiful and nice.
Sure. Okay, that's it, I suppose.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being so kind. Sorry for that missing slide. It was beautiful. I will show you next time.